Shalom, my Hebrews and Shebrews. I'm Christian for real, and it's Correctly Incorrect. Now, I'd like to give a special shout out to this video to Anthony for suggesting this topic, which is why do NBA players make so much? Now, I'm not just going to keep it on just NBA players. I'm actually going to talk about athletes in general. Now, when you think about it, professional athletes do make a lot of money, but they're professionals at their profession. How many of you guys at home can say you are the best at what you do at your current job? Like if you're a mailman, who slings mail better than you? Nobody? Then that makes you professional. But think about it, really. In your career, are there people better than you? Because when you make it to the NBA, the NFL, you know, you're supposed to be the best of the best in the world, okay? And considering the stress and grind they have to put on their body and on their lifestyle, it's crazy. When you really think of the NBA player, say if you play, perfect example, we'll go with Carmelo Anthony because his wife Lala had a reality TV show and it kind of showed behind the scenes of the grind and struggle they have to go through because he was playing in Denver. All of a sudden, he gets traded to New York Knicks. That means they have to stop and uproot their whole life and move to New York, okay? They had a child, so they have to look for schooling. They have to make sure they're in the right neighborhood. I want to say for most of that reality TV series, they were living like in a hotel or something like that, where, you know, it's hard to try and just stop everything you're doing, just up and leave. How many of you right now at home can just stop what you're doing and just move somewhere else and just be okay? Like it's nothing. Just think about that aspect. And then also, when you look at a lot of these professional athletes, they don't have a lot of time at home. They have to continue to grind and work and practice what they do. All we get is the final product on TV, but we don't get, you know, the hours that it takes on practicing and make sure the schemes are right and making sure, you know, your shot falls and just consistent. You really don't understand how good an NBA player is until you take someone like Kevin Durant and put him in Rucker Park and they play normal people. Like, it's night and day. You really forget how great these athletes really are. But that takes time. That takes a lot of time, a lot of grind to make sure you're perfecting the craft. Remember, they are professional athletes, okay? This isn't no Joe Schmo that just got off the street. Whereas, you know, at your job, how many people you just pick up off the street at your job? Just any and everybody. You have people that are really good at their job, and you have people that are horrible at their job. But these are all professionals. Even the 13th man on the bench can probably ball if you put them, you know, at your local rec. Think about it, like Michael Beasley. He can ball. He may not be, you know, the top of the top players, but if you put Michael Beasley in China, you know, he's an all-star. It's ridiculous how great these athletes are. And we take for granted all the things that they really have to go through because all we see is the final product. We see the lights, the glamour, you know, they're celebs, but it took a lot of hard work to get there. If you think about it, if you reach the NBA and we'll say you're 20 years old, okay, you've been playing basketball for at least a decade, realistically. AAU, going through everything, that's if you started at 10. Some people, you know, start basketball 7, 8, 9 years old. So by the time you even get to the NBA, you've already played this sport for a decade. You've already perfected your craft for a decade, and you're only going to get better once you get to the pros. Like, that's a lot to think about. How many of you guys, let's say you're an engineer, okay, engineering, that takes a lot of schooling, that takes a lot of education, but how many 7-year-olds do you know that were thinking about working as an engineer? Now, there are the few, of course, I'm not talking about everybody, but when you really look at sports in general, before people even make it to professional level, they've already been trying to perfect their craft for at least a decade. Think about that, okay? That's why I feel like NBA players or just professional athletes in general deserve all the money that they get. You know, they're constantly in front of, a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand, but you gotta think, do you really want to be a celebrity? Honestly, you know, you're constantly in front of the camera. People can see your every move. You constantly have to worry about social media and this and that, everything. And think about this also. How many of you at home, everyone knows how much you make in a year? Think about that. Everyone knows how much money LeBron James makes. Everyone knows how much James Harden makes. Everyone knows how much Steph Curry makes. But how many people know you at home how much you make in a year? Probably not many. Everything is out there in the open. So when you take into account that you're flying, you know, or not just flying, but traveling across country to play a sport, which if you think, if you play for the Lakers and you got to fly out to Boston or vice versa, like that's pretty much a week and a half away from your friends and family, okay? Because you got to fly here, fly there, You know, say you play for Boston, then you got to fly to Atlanta, then you got to fly to Cleveland. You know, you're away from your family for a good 2 weeks, and that's just 2 games, okay? And then also, if you play in Boston, you're paying taxes in Boston. But then if you play in Atlanta, you're also paying Atlanta taxes. That comes out of your check also, okay? If you play for the Jazz, they're taking, you know, the city of Utah, or the state of Utah is taking money out of your check, okay? Then when you go play, say, in Atlanta, or say you play in Minneapolis, you know, these places are taking money from you also. So you may make $1 million in a year, but that don't mean you're pocketing $1 million in a year. You're probably pocketing like 50,000. Because let's keep it honest, a lot of these professional athletes live paycheck to paycheck, okay? So I feel like the reason why professional athletes deserve the money that they get is because the time away from their family, the stress and grind they put on their bodies, and they just always have to be in the forefront. And I'm not even talking about political issues that they have to speak on, whether it's LeBron James speaking on political issues or Steph Curry speaking on political issues. So there's a lot that these athletes do, and on the outside world, it may seem like all they do is just play basketball, or they may just play football, but there's a lot more to it than just what we get on a Sunday in football, or what we get, you know, every other night in the NBA. But like I always say, make sure you serenade that subscribe button, make sure you give this video a like, and let your opinions be known in the comment section. And tell me what I should talk about next. And again, big shout out to Anthony for suggesting this topic. But hey, I'm Christian for real, L'chaim, and assalamu alaikum.